it's just unspeakable.
Mm-hmm.
And society's imploding because all this evil's in control, and then so there is bad stuff happening in families. There are bad people individually doing things as well, and the establishment publicizes all of that to make the people look bad but make the system look good. But from what you're saying, it looks like you've had some progress. I mean, it's been in the news that admitting this is going on. What has it turned into? What are they currently doing? How have they tried to camouflage it?
Well, they're spinning it. They're taking a lot of the information I have and spinning it to make it look like they knew all this along, and they're disclosing it now, and they're admitting.
And they need more funding.
Yeah, and they're saying basically we've given apologies and some financial compensation. Now the issue is resolved. With the apology, the issue is resolved, which is ridiculous because on the street, people are suffering more. They're dying at a higher rate from this. They get a bit of money in compensation, and people go and overdose on drugs with that money, and that's intentional. So the government and the churches are making it look like, it's amazing what they've done. They've committed the crime, they've gotten away with it, and now they're trying to make themselves look good in the process. And they're not, they're not disclosing anything. So it's almost like they're saying there was a big crime, but there are no criminals. So we've been pushing for years to get them to admit where these children are buried. We've been trying to bring the children's remains home for proper burial, having memorial sites, and bringing people to trial for these crimes. So that's really what we're pushing. And the very fact that the Prime Minister would be forced to acknowledge this in Parliament, and party leaders were actually getting up and talking about these grave sites, I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment.
And by the way, every few weeks I see a new article out of Florida or Texas or New York where they go into orphanages and dig up a bunch of dead bodies. I mean, this is a guild. This is a Satan worshiping, whatever you want to call it, even if they don't physically worship Satan. That's what the vibe is, the spirit is, who want to feed on innocence. And it's 180 degrees from who I am. I don't even claim to be the best person in the world. But the point is, I've got this, I love children, I love their innocence, I want to protect them. How could you want to hurt a child? I just want to kill these people.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like both extremes are happening at the same time, Alex. The exposure is happening, people are more aware now, and that evil is trying to entrench itself all the more. And the reality is these institutions have their backs against the wall now. They've admitted it, they're trying to spin it, but it's not going to work because more and more people are coming forward now with the truth. And I'm actually very encouraged by what's happening, the power of just telling the truth. I just want to remind people again to go to our site and look at our film. It's www.hiddenfromhistory.org, and spread that around. I'm actually planning to come down to the United States in February and March on a speaking tour, and it would be a good way to connect and carry this on, because I know that there's going to be even better changes happening.
Absolutely. Well, it's hard for me, and I'm sorry I've been whining just to even focus in on this, because but your strength, I can feel your strength, and I agree with you. It is the fact that you're fighting evil, you're having an effect, and there is this brotherhood, this sisterhood, and resistance to it. Stay there, my friend. I want to come back and let you get to any other points you want, and I want to have you back up for a second, longer interview to take phone calls in the near future.
Well, I just think it's important to especially people in the States, to know that this is escalating, this whole campaign, because recently a number of the chiefs, including Chief Capilano, who's a West Coast Squamish Native chief, has told these churches to get off his land. He's told the Catholic, Anglican, United Churches that they occupied his land illegally. They've never paid him any rent for 150 years, so it's time they left. We issued eviction notices to these churches, and in response, a lot of persecution began to come down. I kind of joke with people sometimes I'm going to have to seek political asylum in the U.S. because it's increasingly harder to operate here. But what we've done, we've thrown down the gauntlet. We've said it's time to declare sovereignty from the Crown and the churches, take back our land. Native and non-Native people have to form an alliance in doing that to stop everything that you're talking about the New World Order and the growing global dictatorship. The way we do that is by taking back what is dear to us, and that's our own land. It's striking a chord in me because my own ancestors suffered this in the old country. That's why we came over here. And in order to kind of turn back the whole history of genocide, we have to say now, what can we do on this continent to create a new arrangement, And so this is what we're trying to do now. We've issued the eviction notices. We've declared sovereignty. And we're trying to build a movement for a republic of Ganata, or Kanata, which was the original name of Canada, the Mohawk word meaning our village. And as part of that, I'm going on a speaking tour to try to raise awareness not only of the genocide, of the past, but how it's continuing today and how we're trying to win back sovereignty and challenge these criminals, setting up our own courts to do it with.
Now, as the natives say, get off our land, we don't want your eugenics operation here masquerading as a church. Let me guess, the churches are still sitting there.
That's right, but the chief actually went into the Supreme Court and got a formal eviction notice. We've issued this, and we've actually tried to deputize the police to get them to enforce the eviction. And there's this growing moral pressure. Every time we go outside a church, there's a whole phalanx of police there to protect the church. But the other day we were speaking to the police, and they wouldn't look in our eyes. They were looking down in a way. They knew we were on the right. And you can see that we're winning the moral victory here. And that the church is hiding behind a lot of power and money, as they always do, but it's breaking down. You can see a spiritual battle going on, if you like, over the truth. And so we're really encouraged by this. And I just wanted to give people my personal email for them to contact me if they want to help us with this. It's hiddenfromhistory@yahoo.ca. And I'm planning to be down in the States in March.
And look what you've done by yourself, joining with the native peoples. It's just another example of what we can all do. And so many of you are those leaders we need, men, women, black, white, old, young. It doesn't matter who, need to just start the fight for liberty and freedom and against all these crimes, and then dividends will be paid in freedom, in humanity, in decency, in honor. And so I just salute what you're doing. And it's up to good Christians who aren't, this wicked counterfeit New World Order Christianity, to realize that most of the powerful churches, if not all, are bought and paid for by the New World Order. That's why they're in those positions. I commend your courage. I commend your work, Reverend Kevin Annett, and we'll talk to you again in the near future.
Thank you, Alex.
You bet. Take care.